Welcome to Research Business Daily Report, made possible by the exclusive community of RBDR at patreon.com, the crowdfunding platform. We encourage you to please visit patreon.com/RBDR if you are a regular viewer. I'm Bob Lederer. The new television season is upon us. It happens to open this coming Friday, and Bill Harvey believes that the ways that TV broadcasts and cable channels are planning to track interest and viewing of programs during the new season is certainly worth reviewing. Bill?
September 19th is the start of the new television season. There's going to be 10 major new primetime show launches. Back in the day when I first got into the business, there were about 20 new shows a year. And when they went on the air, they already had the benefit of 75% awareness within the U.S. population. By my estimate, that's 35% today. And today, we don't have 20 new shows a year launching. We have over 450 from suppliers who weren't in the business, Netflix, Amazon, and so on, back when I first got in the business. So how has this changed? Well, the smaller television ratings, the fractionation, the number of different channels that people watch, it's no longer possible to generate the same awareness level by just advertising on your own network, even if you have multiple networks, and you can advertise for free on a sister network. 2 years ago, the network started to realize this and started to buy paid advertising. It started more than 2 years ago, but it really hockey sticked about 2 years ago. It's now become a $2 billion a year ad spend buying audience promotion on competitive networks. That didn't exist. So everything has changed, and it's much more challenging. Now, when a new show gets put on the air, the chances of it staying on the air are just as low as it always was, which is very low, a 20% and lower chance of staying on for even a whole season. But nowadays, when it gets pulled off the air, it gets pulled off the air before half the population knows it was on the air. So in trying to get awareness of these new shows in time for there to be trial and potential success, what's being done is a combination of new media and new research. So the new media consists of this paid advertising on other TV, and also of that paid advertising, 20 to 25% is being used for experimentation in new media, specifically digital, social, mobile. All of that's being tried by the networks, sometimes very effectively, sometimes not. We did a lot of analysis of tune-in. Nielsen was able to measure the effects of tune-in. And the basic way you do this is exposed, unexposed. Who was exposed to the tune-in campaign, and what percent of them tuned in to the promoted show versus the unexposed. And there's pretty sophisticated methods being used to take out the demographic and general viewing pattern differences between the exposed and unexposed. So that's a pretty good method, but you can't do it anymore. You can't do it for digital and TV combined unless you do it with big data, set-top box data. You can separate out which groups were reached by the combination of social plus your own air. How about the people who we were able to also measure in theater advertising? Those did it by GPS. How many of those people tuned in to the show, and so on. So you need big data in order to separate out the different media contributions. Being done in a fair way today. The one qualm that I have is that some of it's not being done with full set-top box data, but with smart TV data. Now the difference there is, in a set-top box situation, you have typically about 3 set-top boxes per home, accounting for over 95% of the viewing of the home. In the case of smart TV data, you're normally getting 1 TV set per household, accounting for 30 to 40% of the viewing. So that's kind of a leaky bucket way of doing it. I would recommend the set-top box approach for tune-in. But what I think is more significant is the driver tags. They've now reached a point where, having studied every word in the English language by a systematic scientific method, we've boiled them down to 265 words. We call them driver tags, that are the emotional and psychological motivators at a subconscious level that cause people to watch the shows they watch. Simmons has shown, for example, that they predict TV program selection 3 times as much as demographics do, even extensive demographics. We know that they have a 0.76 adjusted R-squared predictivity of Nielsen, which is 50% higher than the best of the Nielsen predictive equations being used by the industry can do. And we know from Nielsen Catalina that when you put an ad in a show that has the same driver tags, you get a 36% sales lift. So we know they're effective in other applications. What about in TuneIn? Part of their development was using a personalized program recommender, which is a lot like TuneIn, except it's a requested recommendation. And when they clicked for that recommendation and got a recommendation from the system based on driver tags, 18% converted to loyal viewers of the show. That's about 6 times higher than the average TuneIn conversion rate. So those are the reasons why right now 5 networks have started using this for TuneIn, and we'll know very soon how well they perform.
That's your Research Business Daily Report, made possible by members of the RBDR exclusive community on the crowdfunding platform Patreon.com. RBDR is produced thanks to the interest and the generosity of regular viewers who support our daily news video, and a growing number of you out there are doing just that. But for many of you, our Patreon mentions may be a little bit like wallpaper. Well, they're there for all to see, but they tend to be ignored. And yet we have to face the reality that producing RBDR does have costs that need to be covered. And those include new ones for our RBDR podcast, which we just launched a few weeks ago. Small monthly contributions from individual viewers and contributions from companies as well. And for individuals, perhaps $5, which would amount to $60 a year, can ensure a continuation of this series. So whether you are an individual or a company, whether you work for a small or a large research business, no matter the type of research you do, whether you're a client, supplier, or support service person in research, and no matter where you ply your research trade in the world, we hope that you will consider and support RBDR. Of course, we want to thank those who are doing so, especially our latest patrons, Henry Chan and Jeff Spitzer. Please join the community yourself today by visiting patreon.com/RBDR. Once you get there, you can select the level of patronage that is most comfortable for you. And whatever that turns out to be, we want to say ahead of time, thank you. Have a great research day, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.